Welcome to another edition of Big 12 Picks. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Mighty Joe, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Jarret. You?
Doing better than you, and I'm going to tell you why. Last week, not so good. Not so mighty, Joe. So we're in week 3. Last week's results. Let's see. Zach, I'm going to go into it. Yes, we're keeping tabs here. Zach, Double T Farmer, and I all went 6-4. Mighty Joe 4-6. All right. So season standings are Zach and I are tied at 12-7. Double T Farmer's 11-8, and Joe is at 10-9. Which I do want to point out, we're betting against the spread. So if you're over 500 against the spread, you're doing all right.
You're making money.
That's right. You're making, unless you're, depending on how you're betting, what you get on which game. Which we could do that, like confidence points, and that would really make this complicated. But let's start with number 5 Oklahoma, who's 2-0. They're giving up. So Iowa State is getting 17.5 points at home. They're playing 11 a.m. at ABC. How do you see it, Joe?
I'm going with OU on that one, man. I mean, look, Iowa State just may not be as good, at least at this point, as I thought they were going to be. They only scored 3 against Iowa. And Oklahoma can rack up the points there, so it doesn't take a whole lot to figure out what could happen there. So I'm taking Oklahoma.
I am really tempted to take Iowa State to bounce back at home against Oklahoma, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with the Sooners. I think they're going to blow them out. The Sooners look like the Sooners this year. They look just, honestly, through 2 games, they look about as good as they did last year.
Last week I was counting on Kansas State to bounce back from that poor showing against Mississippi State. Didn't happen. So I'm a little gun shy on bouncing back right now.
I hear you. All right, number 17, Boise State is 2-0. They are actually getting 3 points at number 24, Oklahoma State, who's 2-0, but they have not played anybody. South Alabama, and I don't even remember the first team they played, but Missouri State, which kick off at 2:30 on ESPN. Mighty Joe, how do you see that one shaking out?
I've gone against Oklahoma State twice already, and that accounts for part of my hole that I'm in right now. I'm not doing it again. I'm taking Oklahoma State on this one.
Yeah, you know what? Once again, I'm tempted to take the road team, but Oklahoma State at home, they just know how to win, and 3 points isn't a whole lot. You know what I mean? So, I think, I'm going with the Cowboys. All right, this game used to be I guess it still is a marquee game because it's being played, 7 p.m. on Fox, but this really used to be a marquee game. Number 22, USC, who's 1-1, is getting 3 points at Texas in Austin, who is 1-1.
Going with Southern Cal there, I'm really surprised at that. I mean, I know they lost to Stanford last week by 14, but Stanford's a really rock-solid team, and Texas just hadn't shown anything so far. I guess people are figuring that at some point they're going to bounce back and the talent is going to come to the fore, but hey, I got to wonder at this point a little bit. I don't think it's going to happen yet.
To me, it tells me that even the Vegas experts don't really know what they have in USC and Texas yet. You know what I mean? They're not really sure. 3-point spread, that's basically what they're, it's a pick 'em in a neutral spot. So, I can't pick Texas. They look too bad this year. I got to go with the Trojans. All right, now this is one of the marquee games, if not the marquee game of all of college football this week. Number 4, Ohio State, who's 2-0, is giving up 12.5 points versus number 15 TCU, who's also 2-0, and that's at Jerry World in Arlington. They play 7 p.m. on ABC. Who do you like, Joe?
Yeah, that's another tough one, but man, Ohio State looks so salty right now. They really do, and I respect the heck out of TCU, particularly what they do defensively. But I just think Ohio State's just going to be a little bit too much for them. Quite a bit too much, enough to cover the spread, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, with that spread, I'm really tempted to take the Horned Frogs. And Gary Patterson's a good coach. He's going to have something dialed up there for Ohio State. But I'm just not sold on the quarterback situation. Zach's been saying that for a while now about Sean Robinson, and I think I have to agree with him. I've been very underwhelmed with Sean Robinson so far, particularly his accuracy passing. So I'm gonna have to go with Ohio State. I hate to pick against the Big 12 there, especially Ohio State, Yankee school, but that's really how I see it playing out. Last but certainly not least, Houston 2-0 is getting 1.5 here. I'm going to be playing at the Jones against Texas Tech, who's 1-1, 3 p.m. on Fox. You know what? I'm going to jump out here and go first here because I want you to have the final say. I'm going to pick the Cougars, and I know a lot of y'all out there are not going to like that, and I'm going to tell you why. The dual threat element that De'Aaron King brings at quarterback, I think is going to just give the Red Raider fits. I think they have a huge advantage at quarterback. And now, don't get me wrong, I've been very impressed with, honestly, what all the quarterbacks have done so far in the 2 games, and particularly Alan Bowman as a true freshman. But just King has looked really good. He was an AAC Player of the Week last week after accounting for 6 touchdowns. He's accounted for 10, on the season in 2 games. The Cougars have a lot of weapons. I think they're better pretty much at almost all the skill positions. And then on defense, though, I do think Tech has an advantage overall, though, of course, Ed Oliver, is something you have to deal with, which the Red Raiders dealt with last year. But I think it's going to be a close game. But I think when it comes down to it, in the end, King's going to make some plays, and the Red Raiders aren't going to be able to match it. So I have the Cougars winning a close one.
Yeah, the closer we get to the game, the better I'm feeling about Tech actually on this.
Good.
And I'm going with Tech. And yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Tech's going to have trouble containing King. Yeah, they're like, I'm having trouble containing this fly here. I mean, it's a head all over the fly is getting after us here. And so, yeah, but I think Tech is really going to be able to put some points up on the board against Houston, too. I think Tech's going to be able to get some stuff done through the air. I think Tech's receiving core is a lot better than most of us gave credit. Maybe you were a little bit more on the money than I was. I thought it was going to be a sore spot for this team, and it really is looking pretty good. I'm very impressed with them. Impressed with the quarterbacks as well. I mean, nobody's a Yeager King just yet, but I think they can get the job done, and they're going to put some points up on Houston and just enough to win.
Well, Mighty Joe, I certainly hope you're correct there. But great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.